You see, throughout his life, Swami Vivekananda said, it's good to have fiery questions. That means there's fire in the belly, let it come through. Throughout his life, he always abhorred the idea of anything that will sound as supernatural. I think there are super sensuous, but not supernatural. There's a big difference. Supernatural means suspending your rational faculties to try and come to terms with anything. He would strongly say, immediately discard. Throughout his life, he avoided any supernatural issues. He would avoid it. And yet they would keep popping up, as Himanshu I just mentioned. How dare it pop up? You see, he can't help it, the poor man. It just pops up once in a while. And how does it pop up? And what's the reason behind it? Is this. If we study, you see, the thing is this. Because we have mastered, say, physical sciences, we seem to feel arrogant that we have really explained everything away. This kind of arrogance that arises in the Western culture, that we've explained everything away through Western science, and we've really mastered, we can produce computer chips and understand the DNA. So it gives a bit of an arrogance thing that we have understood everything. In reality, there is so much that we have yet to master or harness. So whenever you hear of this kind of story that sounds supernatural, it simply is really reflecting that there is much more to us and this reality than meets our eyes. And of course, I'm going to quote Paul Dirac, the most famous English physicist. When he was told, what is the most amazing thing you discovered? He didn't say, oh, physics, because I know electrodynamics. He didn't say that. He said, you know what's the most amazing thing? That we possess these faculties that we have, the inner faculties that we don't know where they spring from, that allow us to give description of reality. Where do they come from? See, these are not physical things. What is this facility or faculty that we possess, or say rationality or mathematics, that allow us to give such a wonderful description of reality? Where does it spring up from? Can it spring out of an atom? So we are already discovering, if you like, when we look at the cutting edge discoveries of science, we find issues which cannot be explained away in purely material or rational terms. At the same time, this doesn't mean that anything goes now. Because there are other things that we don't understand, doesn't mean anything goes. No, you need to continue to use this filter of rationality to distinguish and to decide which aspects you like to agree with and which aspects you don't like. When I do the story of Sri Ramakrishna Vivekananda, I warn the audience, and I'm doing this now. Accept the things that make sense to you, reject the rest, flick it away. The aspects of the story of Ramakrishna Vivekananda that make sense to you, just accept that part only, and do not swallow the other part that do not agree with your own common sense, because if you start doing that, you create indigestion in your system. So reject it. And again, where does it come from? Do you think it comes from me? It comes from Vivekananda. He said, reject. He said, if you find anything I say that does not agree with your common sense, reject. So if there are any supernatural things, or we classify as supernatural things that appeared in his lifetime, reject. Now what about this, for example, the most supernatural thing I can talk about is this idea of seeing God as a mother. People think now, this is a bit far-fetched. Maybe he was kind of just excited in the middle of the night and he just dreamed it up, or he just conjured up, the black image appeared as a real thing for him because he was charged up by his teacher and he just kind of was flowing with emotion. You see, this man was not easy to fly off in an emotive manner. He was very steadfast, very steady on his feet, always throughout his life. It is not easy to cheat this guy or just become highly emotive. So when he was not expecting that, and suddenly discovered that his whole being was being kind of strongly touched by some great supernatural personality in front of him. Now again, let me touch on this, because this is a very nice area to explore. You see, when spirituality becomes experiential, you do not see things with these eyes and these things. So example, when I see a mother goddess, the reason why the rest of you won't see her is simply not because, it's my figment of my imagination. The reason is, now I have touched base with a deeper level to my being, which allows me access to this reality that I cannot access in my normal state of living. And the language they use is this. They say the experience I have of Mother Goddess, says Ramakrishna or Vivekananda, is far more intense than my experience of this reality that you are so sure about, the physical reality. This is the proof. If they said it's of the equal level, you would say maybe it's conjuring it up. If you say it was a bit hazy and fuzzy, you would say it's definitely make-believe. It's not real. But when they come out of this experience, and again, what is the proof? They hold, once they have this experience, once the spiritual experience is something that you have firsthand, it's a highly transforming experience. It transforms you forever. You can never go back to your old ways. You are transformed forever. Not only are you transformed forever, anybody who comes near you will be transformed as well. You have that power because you're touched base, with this inner, you are plugged in basically, and you get lit up. And anybody who comes near you also get lit up. This is the proof of the pudding, is you actually know that this is a far more intense experience and not a fuzzy or a daydream experience. So this is when Vivekananda says, look, you have not had that experience, why should you accept it? Don't accept it. In fact, by not accepting it, you will make effort to experience it for yourself, to give validity to it. So continue to struggle, because that's how you evolve. You see, one of the features of this Vivekananda and Ramakrishna, this again a unique feature of modern proponents. They are magnanimous in nature. They never impose their own thinking on you. They allow you to flourish and grow from where you are. This is the vastness of this thinking. Sometimes Vivekananda would say, look, I sometimes look at myself and say, what a horrible disciple. My teacher never had a sour word for any movement in the world. Even though there were some horrible movements, he never had a sour word for anybody. He saw everybody developing spiritually from where they are, relating to their own circumstances and allowing them to grow from where they are. See, this is the magnanimous nature. Otherwise, previous to Vivekananda and Ramakrishna, when we had all these acharyas, I won't mention them, but when we had these acharyas, there was a lot of tussle. This acharya trying to promote this particular Vedanta, this acharya trying to promote this particular form of Vedanta. And there was a lot of tussle, point scoring. When you want reconciliation, this point scoring stops, because now you say, he's right in his own way, because this is the way he can relate to spirituality, let him. This is the way she likes to relate to spirituality, let her. So it's not a statement of compromise, let everybody get. It really recognizes, gives dignity to everybody to unfold spiritually in the mode that suits them. So all the various, throughout Ramakrishna's life, he never had a sour word for anybody. And sometimes Vivekananda used to pass very sharp comments about, Hindus or non-Hindus. And he would then say to himself, why did I do this? At the same time, sometimes it is necessary to do it. And I cannot blame him for that. But this is the magnanimous nature of Ramakrishna Vivekananda movement. They are able to see things from other people's points of view and realize it through that and allow them to flourish in their own mode.
Free e-learning course in Hinduism. To register, please visit www.hindu-academy.com.
Talks on Hinduism, sponsored by People Care, encouraging caring for the elderly in their own homes. For more information, please visit peoplecare.com.